movement instructor and a massage therapist. And in today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about shoulder position. We often end up kind of in shrimp mode. We pull our shoulders forward. Sometimes we're sleeping on our side and we end up with these rounded forward shoulders. So for today, we're going to practice a little bit of range of motion to help broaden through the chest and to be able to move our shoulders out into external rotation, the opposite of when we curl forward and get slumped. We are in internal rotation, and this internal rotation creates quite a bit of shortening through the front of our pec. And as you can see by my back, all this rounding is creating over lengthen in the muscles, which can create micro tears, adhesions, and lots of discomfort. So what we're aiming to do is to start to bring the shoulders back into a more neutral place so that ears stack over shoulders, shoulders over hips, and we have nice broad space across the collarbones. So for the first few, let's just practice getting our shoulders back into that neutral position. So come into a comfortable seat, sitting up nice and tall. Try to stretch your spine all the way long. And instead of trying to put our shoulders on our back where we often sort of squeeze forward and then we end up with our back kind of arching and it's a lot of pinchy tension, I just want you to think instead about stretching tall through the spine, top of the head going up towards the ceiling, chin tucks back a little bit so that your ears can come back over your shoulders. And then let's take our hands, we'll bend at the elbows. We want to keep the insides of our arms glued onto the sides of our torso. So we got like little robot arms. And let's bring our hands into this like thumbs up position. Keeping our elbows and our arms tagged down to the outsides of our rib cage. Let's just start to open our palms out to the side. As you do this, as you get sort of closer to 90 degrees, you might notice that little bit of effort, that little bit of stretch through the shoulders. And what we're hoping for, if I turn to the side, you can see my back is nice and straight, but I haven't gone into this crazy arch. So let's bring hands all the way forward, release it, and then with our thumbs up, palms coming behind us, coming into this open position. You want to feel a little bit of an effort underneath the shoulder blades, holding in place. And then just drop your arms, see if you can let your shoulders get loose while still holding that little bit of tension through the lats, through the underneath of the shoulders. Okay, release all that effort, robot arms one more time. And we open wide, drop it, looks effortless, but we're still feeling that little contraction through under the shoulder blades. Cool. Okay, drop that and release. Let's take our arms this time all the way up to 90 degrees. And you want your elbows back in line with your shoulder blades. So you could also do this sitting on a wall. We can use the wall for feedback. We're just going to take our palms down towards the floor. And as you can see, it's kind of like a 45 degree. We tend to be more limited in this range of motion, but what you might see is like one arm looking a little goofy. You can see as I do this, see how much rolls forward in this shoulder. So like we can force it, but like this has got me out of my neutral back. So just kind of noticing where you land, coming up to center. Elbows stay where they are, backs of the palms rotate back. Usually we get a little more range of motion this way. Just notice the feeling. We're just gonna slow-mo go through the two. Pause as you come through neutral, and then we're trying to move from the palms. Often as our palms come down, when we can't reach, we start sort of bending at the fingers, at the wrists, trying to reach back. Just notice that natural end. Backing up through center, and a moment of pause. Back up into external rotation, notice what you feel side to side. And as we do this a few times, just notice, are there any crickles, crackles? Is it changing time to time? I'm just gonna do maybe 2 more in each direction, ending with our fingers up. So take your time, noticing what you feel. Normal to start getting a bit tired. Come on in, do a little shakeout. We are going to do one more work for a little bit of these movements. For this, you might need a yoga strap if you've got one, a dish towel also works. And we're going to practice a little bit of combining those movements, doing opposite things with our hands. So let's take our arms all the way out to a T. Doesn't matter which side, we're gonna do both. So we're gonna take one arm all the way up towards the ceiling, plug that arm bone down into your socket. Our other hand, we are going to turn the palm all the way behind you first, bend at the elbow and sweep that hand behind your back. Top hand bends at the elbow and also reaches for your back. So I am just coming to see where do my hands land on my back and what's happening to my shoulders. Most of us kind of end up rounding forward. So can we think about pushing our arms back behind us a little? Okay, nice and slow. Unfurl. Let's go the other way. Just notice where your hands land. If you'll notice, it looks very different for me on this side. It's because I use my shoulders different side to side and I don't train them. And again, look, see how far this elbow is over on this side. What happens if I think about pushing it back a little? Okay, let's just keep doing this a few times. Doesn't have to be right at the end range of motion. You might only kind of get here, especially if you're recovering from some shoulder injury. That's fine. We just want to hold it for a whole breath and then really slow, unfurl, go the other way. And do it 3 more times without rushing. We're just sort of noticing where things land on my back. What do I notice when I have to pay attention to both arms moving at once? One more. Ooh-wee. Okay, all the way unfurl. This time, this is where we're going to use our strap version of this. We're going to take it in our hand that goes up on the top first. You can hold it, I like to hold it at the halfway point just because it is a little easier to grab onto the strings. So I'm going to start with the strap in my right hand, coming up towards the sky, bending at the elbow. My other hand, just going to hold. I'm not at the closest point that I can get between my hands, but I'm here, I can hold this comfortably without too much feeling of a stretch. But again, if you look at what's happening to this rounding in my upper back. So before I feel like my arms are stretching to hold this position, I want to think about stacking up nice and tall, head stretches tall, and I want to push those elbows behind me a little. And then maybe I do a 1 centimeter wiggle with each hand on my strap. Just notice what happens to the breath. We're going to hang out here for just a few deep breaths. So we're just noticing actively pushing both shoulders and elbows behind us to that wall. Chin stays tucked in. Okay, strap's going to stay in your bottom hand. Let go of it with the top hand. Uncurl. We go to the second side. Opposite hand reaches up. Strap comes down our back. We grab it first so we don't feel any line of tension or stretch between the two. So just notice where your hands land. We notice this sort of rounding in the back, so we stack up tall. We start to push shoulders, elbows behind us. And then I'm going to inchworm one little bit, just until I can feel a little line of tension. And now we breathe. Letting the breath come all the way into the belly. One more nice big breath, just like that. Beautiful. Let go with your top hand. Switch arms again. So, hand with the strap now comes up to the top. We switch. Let's get right back into that position we did before. Find a tiny little bit of pull. Shoulders pull back, and then with 10% strength, I want you to imagine that you're pulling your arms apart. So we've got that tension, we're holding onto our towel or strap, and there's just this little bit of effort. You might find a little bit of a shake, even though nothing's moving. Notice those points of resistance, notice that effort, and try to stay with the breath. One more nice big inhale all the way in. Exhale fully. Release that line of pull. Top hand lets go of the strap, bottom hand holds onto it. We switch sides one more time. Bottom hand comes up, strap comes behind the back. And we come right until we feel just that little bit of line of pull. we start to push the elbows behind us, and with 10% effort, we start to pull our strap away on either side, feeling a little bit of effort, a little bit of firing through those shoulders. Yeah, nice big inhale. Let everything go except for that little bit of effort between the hands, pulling tight. One more big breath in. All the way out. Okay, release your hands. Do a couple shoulder rolls. All right, and then last but not least, with your strap, dish towel, whatever, nice and wide, wider than shoulders distance. As you can see, right, my shoulder distance would be probably about here. Got my hands even wider. Nice big inhale. I'm reaching all the way up towards the ceiling. I want to think about squeezing those shoulders on my back a little bit, and then pulling my hands apart. I'm not actually trying to drop my hands down towards my bum. They're just a little bit behind my head, but I am doing this motion of pulling on the straps so that the space in between my shoulder blades is firing, 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 firing. Okay, keep that effort in between the shoulder blades. We're gonna rotate, so the strap's gonna come over our head, but our biceps are gonna stay at 90 degrees, elbows stay bent. Strap comes in front of your chest. So now we're in neutral, and then we try to bring our strap towards the belly. Maybe it touches the front of you, maybe it doesn't. Inhale, all the way up. Right over the head is neutral, and then let's just bring the palms back to the wall behind us a little. Squeeze the elbows behind the back. Stretch all the way long through the arms. And through the elbows, dip them down to 90 degrees. Keep squeezing between those shoulders. One more stretch all the way long. And long doesn't have to be a big movement. Go within the range of motion you have, bending through the elbows one last time. All right, strap's gonna come over our head, coming in front of us, arms staying parallel at 90 degrees. Strap comes in front of us. So we come into our internal rotation. Maybe it touches the front of the body, maybe it doesn't. And then just let it all go. Do a couple shoulder rolls. All right, and that's it. That's our quick little shoulder internal, external rotation range of motion. So give it a go as